I think it's a mole.
No, moles have, well, maybe it's not that type of mole.
He looks blind. Today is Jet Shades Day. We're gonna need all this for Jet Shades Day. What it does is the caffeine multiplies the frustration. Step one is to get you an empty spray bottle and fill it with soapy water. A bunch of soapy water. You shake it up. Mission accomplished. So rather than get in the aircraft and then use trace paper, I just draw the outline of the trim that you can see through the window, because the trim always sticks up past the window anyways. And we just use soapy water, but I'm gonna need music to do that. Hey Rachel, can you get me going? So after you put it up, you just follow the line of the trim. This is my left hand, and basically I'm tracing. I'm gonna redo that with my right hand and with a better Sharpie. But that's basically what you do, you just trace. And then a couple spots like right here, the trim tucks behind the airframe, but it's not gonna matter because of the way the wrap works. So basically you just take it. So like in this area, I would trace right there because that's where the trim goes. So I would trace like that, and I'm fixing to get this knocked out, and then we'll cut it. That, I'll leave the back wet. It helps it stick to the table. Because this has to go all the way around the window to make the Jet Shade seal, you have to use your offset tool. So now I'll draw this line inside all the way around. That's my offset tool. And then at the same time, after I draw my offset line, I'll go and put the friction tool in a couple of the places, like that. And that gives it enough oomph to stick to the trim that holds it in. So that way I'm doing most of my cutting on this clear piece of paper that cuts easy with scissors. Then I'll trace it on the Lexan. And now I got both lines cut out, so I'm gonna cut out the inside. I got the friction tabs put in. And don't get too crazy with it, because this is template 1, and you're gonna make another template and then the final cut. So, you know, don't go insane. But if you do most of the work here, your life is easier. Okay, so it's cut and it's in. You can see it's got like gaps all around it, but those are gonna get filled by the gasket material, so it's not standing straight. But that's a good, pretty decent indication of what it should look like. And the other thing is, this is at the bottom, so the gap up here is bigger. If this is too small, you can always go back and make notes like, hey, make this an 1/8 inch bigger here, or make this a 1/16 smaller here. And then when you're tracing this template onto your final piece, you can make those changes, because that way, the worst you could do is make the final piece too big. But as long as you don't make the final piece too small, you're fine. Okay, so here the plastic outline is here. You got a gap there and a gap there. You actually want gaps in the backs, but you see we have a gap here. So I'll show you how to fix that inside. All right, I'm gonna do 2 things while I'm in here. One is I wanna fix this corner. So what I'll do is I'll make a mark there, and I'll make a mark, it's hard to do this in film, there. That's probably 1/4 inch. So I'll say make that 1/4 inch bigger. So when I trace this onto the final piece, I'll just bump that edge out. And then everything fits pretty good over here. Nothing's crazy. I might jut that out a 1/16 of an inch just to make it fit tighter. Oh, let me tuck that. So I'm gonna jut this out a 1/16 of an inch to make it tighter. It doesn't fit too tight right there, so a line, 1/16. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the gaps. If you don't put the gaps in there, the humidity will make it sweat between the windows, so you gotta have the gaps in there. Other than that, we're looking good. And then we'll add the Velcro straps up here. About to trace this onto this. Very important note is that you remember the mirror side goes out. The the darker side goes in. Don't cut it wrong, because you'll have an awkward conversation to make. Okay, so I put the painter's tape down first. You have to be careful just not to scratch it. It's not that easy to scratch as long as you're careful. And I went ahead and traced my line around it, so let me remove this piece. So the important thing to remember now is I just drew this line. So what I have to do is cut on the inside of the line if I want the template to be the same size. If I wanted to go bigger, I can cut on the outside of the line, but that's where Sharpies can make things get a little more complicated. And then I added my 1/8 of an inch here that we talked about. And we needed a 1/16 of an inch down here, so I actually added it up here. So we're good to go. Okay, after you cut the trim, it leaves these metal rings. They're kind of sharp, but if you kind of poke it with your thumb, that'll come out. Throw it in the trash, and that way nobody will get cut when they're taking them on and off. Okay, so on these emergency exit windows, they're not as tight as everything else that's in here, but that's okay with me because they need to be able to be ripped out pretty easily. Another tip to make this job faster is I cut one template for this side, and I was able to just flip it over and use it for that side because they were roughly the same size. Unfortunately, that did not work for the back windows, so I had to cut a template for this window and then another for the one behind me, which is okay. And then sometimes the front windows will be the same, but this is a Bonanza. One side has a door, one side doesn't. So generally speaking, the side with the door is gonna have a different size window. So anyways, if you can, use one template. That puts you getting in the plane once to test fit it on either side, and you don't have to recut everything. And it saves you a lot of time doing it that way. Okay, last thing we do, spray everything with Prist, inside, outside, clean it up, and then we'll be done. Jet shades are all installed. It's ready to get out of here. Good looking Bonanza. Now we just have to clean up all the mess. There's a lot of mess. There's a lot of stuff on the floor we have to clean up. It's fine. I drank a lot of Monster. I didn't drink too much Monster. It takes a lot of Monster to do a lot of jet shades. Everybody have a good day. Like and subscribe.
Bro, look at that exhaust. My God, look at it. What in the world?
I found him. I don't know what he is. He's really small. I'm gonna name him Peter. I'm gonna keep him. What is that shrew?
This is small.
Look at him. Here's my hand for reference. He's really tiny. Where are you gonna go? Goodbye. Oh, you got him. He's so fast.
Oh, no.
Don't die. Don't kill it.
I'm not gonna.
Hey, Peter. Is it a mole?
I don't know.
I think it's a mole.
No, moles have, well, maybe it's not that type of mole.
He looks blind. Is he blind?
Yeah, he's smelling a lot.
He moves too fast. Slow down, Peter. We'll put him in there. There's so much oil in there, he'll have cancer before he gets out.
There's no oil in there.
There's been oil in there.
It's not safe.
I gotta go to work. Bye, Peter.